Alright, hello everyone. My name is Brent Bachman. I hope you are all doing well during this time of quarantine. Today I will be presenting my part of the project of Apple versus Samsung, primarily focusing on the opposition of Apple being Samsung. However, when I was doing my research and looking at all this information, I thought it would also be beneficial to add in another phone, or also known, we like to just categorize them as an Android. For that reason being, just because that Androids are primarily what we call other phones that are anything other than Apple, from a societal standpoint. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been around people, my friends, other social gatherings where someone has a phone that wasn't an iPhone and we all just called it an Android. So today, like I said, I will be presenting two phones, the Google Pixel 4 and the Samsung Galaxy Note 10. The Google Pixel 4 was a highly anticipated phone of 2019. For Google had just released their Pixel 3 and was now moving on to upgrading from the criticism they got from their previous phone and going to make a more compatible, synergetic phone known as the Pixel 4. As it says on the screen, it potentially, theoretically, has the most synergy than any phone ever. For if there's any device that could download Google Chrome, your phone would automatically be compatible to some degree with that device, as it was all connected. With it being a Google phone, you also had their frequent bug and security updates to keep your phone safe and protected, as well as their Google Drive foundation that they had previously set up just with their Google accounts. So anything that you had on your phone was immediately retrievable if anything were to happen to your phone on any computer or laptop. The only downside is that their phone was more for efficiency, so their camera quality lacked comparatively to the iPhone or the Samsung, and it was hard to navigate through considering how well versed we have become with iPhones and they're easy accessible to get from point A to point B. With that being said, we're going to move on to the Samsung Galaxy Note 10, which is a literal powerhouse of a phone. It immediately knocked two of Apple's problems, which was one, their screen, and two, their battery life. The Samsung Galaxy Note 10 is 90% screen and has a massive battery life comparatively to the iPhone 11 in this case. Not to mention it has some cool other niche qualities it has, such as a scannable camera for spreadsheets and documents for your meetings. It can immediately scan the document and upload it to your phone so you can have it for future reference, as well as comes with a compatible pen for you to take notes, such as notes or sketches or math problems, because we all love typing math problems into our phone. As well as they have their own version of a cloud to help you retrieve any information if you have lost or broken or done something to your phone. From what I have come to understand by researching this phone is that it is a very business oriented phone. It was made for the business field and would thrive in that environment. Its only downside is it's like a small tablet more than it is a phone, and because it's 90% screen, it can be pretty fragile. The only real other big downside is that though it has all of these really cool quirks that come with it, learning those quirks and making them easy to understand and navigate is the difficult part about having this phone. It can be very difficult to just learn how to get all of your information or find your notes and stuff like that. Other than that, it is a beautifully made phone. And what I'm about to present to you next is just a small graph to show how strong Samsung is comparatively to the iPhone. And you'll just have to see. As you can see, the top two iPhones globally selling are the Apple iPhone XR and the Apple iPhone 11. However, the next two leading competitors are immediately Samsung phones. If you would like more information, you can just type in this link and it can take you there. Pause your screen, type in this link. AppleInsider.com is where I got this, and it was just showing sales that was released in 2019. Just to reiterate that this graph is probably really rough considering it's 2019 and that was last year, and compiling all those numbers from a previous year is pretty daunting of a task. So why would you choose an Android or a Samsung over an Apple phone? Well, Apple has recently gotten rid of two of the most universal things that had just been presented to the market, which is a micro USB and an auxiliary cord. A micro USB, it was the previous charging port for most phones nowadays, and it has started showing up more on laptops and computers as well as gaming devices. The reason that this was such a huge knock was just because it now had made it to where you had to have an Apple charging port to be able to charge your phone, and sometimes their MacBooks and other computer devices don't even use their new Lightning USB port that they have generated for their iPhone, so you had to have an Apple iPhone charging port or a knockoff version that would break in 2 days. This is what's really interesting about having a micro USB on the other phones is that it is so universally known as you have a charging port anywhere. For example, I have a PlayStation. If I had the Samsung Galaxy Note 10 and I lost its original charger, I could simply grab one of the cords I use to charge my controller and boom, I have another charging cord. Not to mention, Apple also got rid of the auxiliary port. Why is it such a big deal? Well, it's a big deal because now all of the headphones that I had previously are now useless to my phone, which means I either have to have an Apple headset or a Bluetooth headphones, so I have to spend more money to be able to listen to things privately, or buy a knockoff version, which we all know that those things will break within like 3 to 4 days if using frequently. I'm a college student. They would break within like maybe an hour. The downside to this is that, as I forgot to mention, they also have an adapter, but it's about 2 inches long and you'll lose it within an hour if you're not careful. However, the previous two phones that I've mentioned both have this, making any headphones compatible with their device and easily accessible to listen to your things privately without having to scavenge for an Apple iPhone headset. In conclusion, from this research, I have come to the conclusion that whether you choose Apple, Samsung, or Google, for whatever reason you chose, those phones will serve you well. They are all really well made phones and worth their price if you are willing to learn their niche and complicated quirks that they come with. However, I've seen the results and know a lot of the results of people who have Androids and they love their Androids just because they know how they work, as well as people who have iPhones and love iPhones because they know how they work. Whichever way you choose, I'm sure you'll be satisfied. This has been Brent Bachman for Business Communication, talking on Apple versus Samsung for Team 2. I really appreciate you all listening to me today. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of quarantine.